Turn that off. It's time for No Pad Sports Talk. Stay tuned as two brothers bring you the latest from your Michigan teams and beyond in hockey, baseball, football, and more. Let's get started. Here are your hosts, JD and Steve.
Hey, welcome to another edition of No Pad Sports Talk. I am one of your hosts, JD.
And I am Steve, and sorry I'm distracted. I'm watching the Atlanta race on TV as this is getting started. There was like 16 laps to go, and they just came out of caution, and now there's another caution, and my boy Kyle Busch is up to third place, so the wreck happened behind him, so I'm still okay, but, you know, I'm on pins and needles here as I'm watching this race.
So today is going to be kind of a episode we kind of touch on everything. You know, I think the main focus is going to be baseball.
Yeah.
Hodgepodge of sports. The main focus is still going to be baseball, but overall, it's just going to be a little bit of everything. So, obviously, you hear my brother talking about NASCAR, so he's watching that.
Yep. NASCAR has started. Last week was the Daytona 500. I watched that race. It was a really good race. It was. So I don't want to take anything away from the racing. It was just, I was questioning the finish. And I'm not the only one that was questioning the finish. I mean, guys like Dale Earnhardt Jr., who doesn't race anymore, but he raced for a long time, you know, was questioning how, like, NASCAR has these rules in place for how they determine placing of cars, right? And then they threw some third one in there, and then that's how they determined the race. Mm-hmm. And so either way, it wasn't going to be my guy, but the bottom line is that I felt like they should have went to a overtime and went green, white, checkered and try to, sort it out that way. I feel like that was probably I think that's the best thing for the sport. Because I wasn't sure that the caution or the white flag came out before the caution. There was a timing thing there because they'll finish the race if it's the last lap and a caution happens, and then that's the end of the race. But in this instance, I felt like that maybe there was, a split opportunity, for them to do that. But, William Byron got it for Hendrick Motorsports. Saw the number 24 in victory lane again. It was the 40th anniversary to the day of Hendrick Motorsports actually getting into NASCAR, and it was their 9th Daytona 500 win. I think it's the first time the 24 car has been back in victory lane at Daytona since Jeff Gordon was driving that car. And now Jeff Gordon is like the vice president at Hendrick Motorsports. So it was really cool to see both those guys there. And, William Byron's just one of those young guns. Interesting story for him is he didn't come up driving like most people did. He did that iRacing. He played video games. And that's how he got his start in racing, was through iRacing. And now he's winning 5-6 races again a year at the top level. Just, I guess when you can drive, it doesn't matter, right?
Well, plus the games are pretty realistic nowadays too, so that kind of helps simulate some of the
exactly, right?
Doing.
Like they can, the tracks can feel just like the track, right? The way the car reacts. I'm sure they can set the cars up in iRacing like you'd set your car up out on a real track. So, like, you're right, but it's really, he's got a cool story. Where most kids, guys in NASCAR, they start out, they're driving go-karts as kids. They go into the dirt and modifieds, and then, they work their way up through trucks, the Xfinity series, and they get up in the NASCAR series. So, it's just a different path, and everyone has a different path. But really cool to see. It was cool to see, it was 40th anniversary of that for Hendrick Motorsports, and they got that win, so it was pretty cool. They actually finished 1-2 in that race. So, but yeah, so that's kind of the recap on that. Atlanta's been a fast racetrack today. Started out really 2 laps in like a 16-car pileup. 2 laps in.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think now they were up to 32 cars out of the 37 cars, I think, that start the race. Or 39 cars that start the race. 32 of them have been in accidents. And now they just had some more. So I don't know if that knocked a couple others out at any time. So speaking of which, me talking about how NASCAR determines who comes to the line at the caution, they were just showing a little thing about for this race. So now they got Daniel Suarez up in the lead. So as we come to the green flag here in another lap. But anyway, that's my NASCAR. I love, NASCAR's not the same. It changes just like any sport has to evolve. But I love watching it, even though they're only going left most times. You still got to be able to do it really well at a high speed. So, but yeah. So that's my NASCAR update.
All right, and there was a that's the hockey, right? Want to talk about hockey?
Yeah, Austin Matthews plays for the Toronto Maple Leafs. First U.S.-born player to hit 50-goal mark within just 54 games. And I think he's a former All-Star or a MVP. Like, this kid is having a phenomenal year, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 54 games and you got 50 goals.
Yeah.
Now, this other guy, he plays NHL. He's got a Russian name, Nikolai. Sorry, he just scored. He's got his 100th point for the season. So Nikolai Kucherov reaches 100 points in the season for the Lightning. I'm sure that that's Tampa Bay, right? The Lightning.
Yeah. Good draw.
Yeah. So he just scored his 100th point. So there's some cool stuff going on. You coming to say goodnight? Oh! You gonna say hi, Uncle JD?
Say hi.
Say hi.
Hi.
Love you.
Yeah, so but going to baseball, I guess, because again, I think spring training, all that stuff going on.
Yep.
Like there's a lot happening right now as far as baseball goes. We finally got to see some players play, and with the Tigers, we haven't really got a chance to answer any of my top 5 questions that I had from the previous episode, right? Like we're still kind of waiting for it to really happen.
This is only the first week of games, so it's
right.
not you're not going to get your answers in your first week.
No. But obviously Malloy is making a good showing. I think he's kind of the buzz right now for the Tigers. So,
so there was a big thing about him, and I didn't realize the minor leagues last year were using robo-umps.
Partly, yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know if it was in all their games, but they were at least using them in those games to call balls and strikes, because that was in part of that article on Hunter Malloy, right? Justin Hunter Malloy, right?
So the it was 8 of 9 ballparks, and only the low A Southeast League in 2021, and then for AAA in 2022, and so half the games use robots for balls and strikes, and half have humans making the decisions. But then those decisions made by humans are subject to appeal by teams with the ABS, which is their auto ball strike computer model. So,
Okay.
yeah.
No, I just think it's cool because I've always, as hard as the ball is, that to me, callish balls and strikes can be very subjective, right? Because there are points where I feel like they're guessing, and I say that I'm sure they do a good job, and I don't want to take anything away from the umps because the job that they have is near impossible, right? You're not going to please everybody, right? But I've seen the view, and all I can think to myself is, I didn't even see it cross the plate. I saw the catcher's glove moving, and then he caught the ball, right? So now I'm taking an idea of, okay, where the ball left the pitcher's hand, where the catcher caught it, and I'm making a determination, okay, that's a strike. Right?
So, I mean, look, the one thing that we look at in terms of balls and strikes from the umpire is there's publications that put out their percentages for what they got right and what they got wrong.
Yeah.
And, and there's been times in which you're talking about umpires that were perfect or maybe missed just one or two calls overall throughout the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty impressive.
Absolutely.
Now, on the other end of the spectrum, you have umpires that are calling strikes 12 feet out, or 12 inches off the plate. So, ultimately, though, I think that the technology exists where you can actually grade umpires on how effective they are and how accurate they are, balls and strikes. And I think that should be used to determine who gets to call balls and strikes behind the plate. Even if you don't go to full robo umps, hopefully they start using that as a metric to determine, hey, you only got 85% of the calls right. That's not acceptable.
Right.
And that's something that we kind of talked about even going on the NFL. NFL should have full-time referees, and we talked about that as far as having them do in-game simulations as far as hey, was there a hold here, was there that there, whatever.
Correct.
Because obviously now, no matter what's going to happen, there's going to be controversy, especially in a big game like the Super Bowl. But you have people coming out with these videos showing Kansas City linemen holding multiple plays and saying this is why they were able to win, especially on the last drive. Look at this hold here, that hold there. Okay, so what is that going to be if you have full-time referees, you can actually have them in game situations, train them on how to do what's the proper call, where do you look, what do you got to do, especially with 3D technologies coming out. They got now virtual reality stuff. It looks like you're actually on the field and you can witness certain things from the position you're supposed to be standing in. And I think that's what right now with umpires, you got kind of the same scenario, where you can have a simulated game just to kind of for those umpires that have a poor percentage of calling balls and strikes, maybe they could help improve by getting them in a simulated environment.
Yeah. Now, I'm glad you brought it up about the NFL referees because I know we've talked about that and needing to be full-time. Are umps full-time?
I believe they are full-time.
They are full-time. Okay. So, no, I was trying to compare the two, and the difference. Obviously they get to call more games because there's 162 games a season, right? So it's not like there's, they're only calling 17 games a year, right? But
so yeah, they are full-time and part-time umpires for Major League Baseball. So they got both.
Okay. All right. No, but I like the idea of bringing in technology to make the game better, but I can also see it from a purist standpoint, right? Of saying,
yeah,
this is how the game is played. This is what we do. We've always had it's going to be bad. It's going to be good. Blah 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 blah. Right? But so I understand it, but in the end, you got to use technology to make things better. Right? You're not trying to take away the essence of the game. You're just trying to improve the game. So
I mean, look, I think that's the case for basically anything in society. Like, you're always gonna have purists when it comes to anything. Like you name it. There's gonna be somebody think that shouldn't change.
Right.
Cars shouldn't be as advanced as what they are today without technology. They should go back to way it was back in the 60s and 70s, with easier to work on, that kind of thing, less electronics, right? Like, it doesn't matter. And for me, I don't agree with any of that. I don't agree with any of the purists. I think anytime you have a chance to improve the game, make it more accurate, you need to, like, 100%. You need to. Why? Like, if you know the product is bad, or let me rephrase that, the product isn't bad, but if you know the product could be better, why would you not make it better?
Why would you not make it better?
I have no idea the argument against that, and just because it's the way it's always been is not a good reason.
It's not a good answer, right? Now, it's the same thing. You're just saying that's cars, right? Well, carburetors are better. Well, are they? I thought I liked the fuel injected system, right? While I might not be able to work on it like I could a carburetor, but the advancement, right? Cars are more efficient. They're better gas mileage. They're EPA, blah, blah, blah. All these things are better, all because of technology, right? So if you're okay with one, technology is coming, right? Pretty soon we're going to be watching robot boxing.
That'd be kind of cool.
I mean, I guess kind of do if you look at the battle bots. They're technically
What was that movie with the guy that plays Wolverine that was doing the that did the
I can't think of it.
That's the only thing I'm thinking of.
That was a movie I was thinking about, right? Yeah. But it makes sense, right? You get to still see the sport. I like
Real Steel. I had to look it up. It's Real Steel.
Yep. So it is no, good movie though. Good movie.
But look, I'm going to do a hot take right now. This is this little preview to some of what I'm thinking as far as to the Detroit Tigers stuff. All right. Okay. This is quick preview in my head. All right. First, we have to talk about the signing of Gio Urshela. So it's time to a 1-year deal. The guy isn't necessarily a great ball player, but he's serviceable. The guy's gonna, probably get you, like, say, probably bat right on 270. He's gonna get you maybe 10 home runs. Not, like, he's not gonna be a big power hitter. So he might get you like a 1-2 WAR, which is good for, like, say a role player on a team or something along those lines. Not an all-star, not like a great player or anything like that. But again, he's just a serviceable player. Right. What's great about him, in my opinion, is he's also can basically play any position in the infield. He's very versatile. So when you're looking at Gio Urshela being a versatile infielder, and you're looking at who they had last year on their roster as a versatile infielder, someone's got to go. And so I'm thinking, like, when you're talking about, like, who makes the final roster, I'm thinking McKinstry is going to be gone because I think Urshela is just a little bit better than, he's better than McKinstry. By what degree, who cares? He's just better than McKinstry. So I'd expect McKinstry to be gone, Urshela to make the team.
Okay, what do you think? Well, with McKinstry, then, are you saying they're going to push him down to AAA, or are they going to trade him? They're going to cut him? All the above?
So, So the way that it works, right, is they're going to have to DFA him, and then it gives another team a chance to sign him, right, pick up his contract, whatever, and put him on their team. So we'll have to see.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I know they wouldn't mind having him on a AAA squad, to possibly use in case of like injury concerns or what have you. But
Sure.
I just think that McKinstry is kind of out of a job here because again, you kind of got Jace Young. I know he's not going to make the team out of spring training or out of camp or anything like that, but he's got to be one of the first guys you call up in terms of like if you need someone for injuries, whatever on the infield, he's got to be one of the first guys you call up.
Well, he's the one that he played Double A last year, right? He finished in Double A.
Did he finish? I thought he had some AAA experience.
Okay,
I thought he did get AAA.
Maybe, but okay. So I thought he just finished in Double A, but he's definitely a guy you're going to send down. Not going to make the opening day roster, but he'll be your AAA guy and be one of the guys you're going to call up. Either due to injury or performance, right?
Right, for sure.
So, Colt Keith is definitely going to make the team. I say definitely going to make the team.
Yeah, 100%. Right.
So our team got younger. Having some younger people, but we've got some great people, some great young talent in the pipeline. As we're talking about what the Tigers are doing and moving forward. And I'm going to put you on the spot because you said this before we came on the air about your prediction of what you think might happen because of the same situation with Malloy.
Yeah. So
I just wanted to get it on record. Because when you explained it to me, it made sense. Like from a business standpoint, I got what you were saying. So I wanted to get it on record so that when it happens, we could say on February 25th, I said this, and this is exactly what happened. So go ahead.
I believe that Justin Henry Malloy will not be on a Tigers roster for very long. I do believe that he's going to get traded. Because look, you just got done signing a third baseman again in Urshela. And Malloy can either play third base, potentially first base, and a corner outfield position. That's kind of where you have to like figure him out, like one of those spots. If you got Urshela, Jace Young is your young guy that's ready to come up, and he's going to be a third baseman. He worked on that in the Arizona Fall League, stuff like that. So he's going to be a third baseman coming out. And there you go. Matt Vierling is your guy that is your Swiss Army knife. He can play everywhere, outfield, infield. So you kind of got that filled up. And in the outfield, okay, you got Malloy that can play one of the corner outfield positions, but who do you take out? You got Mark Cannon one, and you got Riley Green in another. And then even on, if you start looking as far as like other prospects, you have other prospects on your team now that you could look for as far as a corner outfield position. So I don't see a spot for Malloy. I wish that that there could be, but at some point you have to make a decision. What do I do with this guy? And if he has no spot on your major league roster, you try using him as trade bait to get someone that you do need. So, and that's where I think they're going to, hopefully can get a catcher from. I'm not happy with their catching stuff.
Right. And that's the thing, like it's always buy low, sell high, right?
Right.
And Malloy is, playing very well. Right. So his ceiling is still high, but he is trending in a good direction. And if someone could use a player like him in their system to bring up, and develop, why not get something of need for him? And so
Right.
I got what you were saying. It totally made sense. I was just shocked when you first said it because, there's been all this press about him. And maybe that's on purpose.
It could be. It could be. I mean,
all of the talk about this player so that it's out there in the MLB sphere so that when it comes time to say, hey, well, we have this guy, what do you think? We'd like this guy. And I go, okay, let's make a deal.
yeah. Yeah. So what I'm expecting right now is you got Mark Canha in one outfield position, Parco Meadows as your everyday center fielder, Riley Green as your right fielder, and Kerry Carpenter as your DH. But Kerry Carpenter can still play right field as well.
Yes. Because that's
right,
what I was going to bring up.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can have Kerry Carpenter in right field. You still got Akil Baddoo. I'm not a big fan of Akil Baddoo necessarily, especially on the offensive side of the things. But I mean, it's still an option. Like he's still there on the team, and you still got Matt Vierling, who's your Swiss Army knife. So between Vierling, Baddoo, Carpenter, Meadows, Canha, Green, like you got 6 outfielders,
correct,
potentially. So like, like unless Malloy, unless the Tigers think Malloy can be that guy, right? Like 30 home runs a year, that kind of thing. I think he's going to be gone, and I don't think Malloy can be that guy. It's not like I hate Malloy or anything like that. I just, I think he's a person that can contribute, but his contribution on the Tigers, unless there's injuries, would be pretty small. And I think if you're able to get a better player for him, or at least a player in a position of more need, you take it. That's all.
Yeah. No. Like I said, from a business standpoint, it totally made sense to me, and I was just, but it threw me off. Not being as big a baseball guy as you just see things from a different level. But in the end, the way it came out, and I'm like, that totally makes sense. Why not get the guy you can get, to fill a position of need for you based on the person, with what you got when you got a guy playing at a high level.
Yeah, and again, you're only going to really need Malloy in an outfield position, if anything. And he's not a very good outfielder. I think that's part of the issue too. Malloy is not a very good outfielder. It's not that he, again,
not horrible, just not.
Yeah, he's not some superstar in the outfield. So,
gotcha.
What do you do with that guy? That's all I'm saying. Like, there's no place really for him. So, and what I mentioned specifically to you before we came on the air was what I'd like to see happen. I don't know if it will. What I'd like to see happen is, excuse me, is let's just say Malloy is going to be a pretty solid hitter.
Yeah.
A team that's kind of all in this year that kind of has a pretty big gaping hole in the outfield, in my opinion, is the Dodgers. Like you got Teoscar Hernandez and James Outman are going to be like your everyday outfielders, but who's going to play the other outfield position?
Right.
I mean, between Hayward and Manuel Margot and stuff like that, none of those guys are really exciting, and Dodgers currently have in their top 10 prospects, 3 of which are catchers. So they have catchers to spare, and they already have Will Smith as their starter. They're not getting rid of Will Smith. He's only 28 years old. It's not like he's on the old side either. Like Will Smith is going to be your starter for years to come. And you already have, whether it's going to be, they already have a backup too, I guess I should say. Like their backup is Austin Barnes. So there are 3 prospect catchers that's in the top 10 for Dodgers prospects. Like they don't need them. So they're going to have to give up. Same situation the Tigers are in. They got to give up somebody. So, if not 2 of them to bring in more pieces. And I would love if the Tigers could somehow get one of those prospect catchers, because I'm not a big believer in Dylan Dingler. I think he's a pretty good defensive catcher, but I don't think he lacks offensively. And as far as like right now with Jake Rogers, yeah, he was a little surprising last year that he hit 21 home runs. But I don't have a lot of confidence in him as far as at the plate goes. So again, give me another option. Like let me try getting another prospect in here and see what that prospect can develop into.
Yeah. Totally makes sense, man. Makes sense. So we're at our 30-minute mark, 31 minutes here almost. I feel like here lately I've got to make a Caitlin Clark comment.
All right. What you got for Caitlin Clark?
I have two. One, congratulations to Indiana. They figured out how to beat Iowa and Caitlin Clark, right? And they just mauled her. Like I saw clips, and I don't mean like mauled like they were fouling her a lot, right? But like they had a plan that was in place that said, you know what? We know who will shoot from wherever. We're going to defend you from half court, right? We're gonna meet you there and not let you get to the timing line. How's that? Right? So great planning on their part. Now, Indiana's a good basketball team too, as far as that goes. They're a 15 ranked team. But Caitlin Clark again today, she had her 16th career triple double. Wasn't phenomenal on the floor, but she scored 24 points, 15 assists, 10 rebounds. I think that's what her numbers were, her stat line today. So she is, like, right now, she's at 3,617 points. Pistol Pete was at 3,667. So she's 40 points away from that. She's also within reach of the all-time women's record, right? Lynette Woodward. And this is going back. And I don't know if a lot of people even know this or if they've been watching. But she holds the record from, it's an AIAW, which was before the NCAA. I think AIAW, that league got consumed. It's a D2 school. But she had 3,649 points. So she technically, I guess, would have been the all-time women's college basketball points leader, right? Not to take anything away from Kelsey Plum. I'm not, right? But when you talk about the records that they had, they were talking about NCAA records.
Right.
And that was pre-NCAA. So I don't want to, they're two different things, right?
Yep.
Overall, that there was a woman who scored more points than that. And, so it's 40 points away from beating that record. And you said something because you were talking to our mom about it. It's not only Caitlin Clark's ability to shoot, but it's her ability to deliver the pass, right?
Yeah.
And try to get her teammates involved. And that was the one thing that did not seem to happen against Indiana. Now, Caitlin Clark took a lot of bad shots in that game.
It was
bad shots in that game.
I was watching the entire game, and I kept texting him. I could not believe some of the shots that she was taking. She was only 8 of 26 and 3 of 16 from 3-point range, and most of those shots were just bad shots. Yeah.
Now, but she was also, her teammate, the rest of the team was not shooting very well either. Like, as a team percentage, that game was bad, right? Mm-hmm. So, not to put all of that on her, but you were talking about how there's other similarities with Caitlin Clark's game to Pistol Pete's in the, because of her ability to get her teammates involved in the game as well. But it's great for sports. I think and I say just sports when you see this, because you just don't see a girl go out there and shoot the way she does. Like, I don't know that I've ever seen it. Like, she just pulls up from everywhere. And she does it so easily, right? You said something. I think you sent me a text. There was a 3-point contest would be her and Steph Curry. Like next year if she makes the All-Star game, right? To see her shooting a 3-point contest. That would be an awesome shot. That I would tune in for that. That'd probably be the only thing in an All-Star game that I would watch. But
Sabrina Ionescu did that with Stephen Curry this time, and
she did, and she was, oh my God. She missed like 2 out of the first rack. She went out almost the entire rack and got into the last one. I think she missed a couple more. Like, she was on fire.
Well, she shot from the NBA 3-point line, and she had enough points that she would have tied Damian Lillard, who won the NBA 3-point contest. Like, she would have tied him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, just incredible what these ladies can do. Like, it's a shame that their sport doesn't make the news as often, right?
Sports. Well, I think the problem is the you got some of these outliers, but I think as a whole, again, I'm speaking as from what I've read other people say. This isn't necessarily my personal opinion. I just want to make that clear. But from when other people talk about it, like everybody has a finite amount of free time, between work and family and everything else, right? So a finite amount of free time to watch. So if you're going to watch basketball because you love basketball, the NBA product is still an overall better product as a whole than the WNBA. And so when people have a certain amount of time to watch, that's all they have, they're going to watch the better product. So,
well, I hate the NBA, and I hate the NBA because I'm. How many steps are you supposed to get when you pick up the ball?
So we know the rules have become pretty lax.
Right? And I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a purist when it comes to that, but you shouldn't be able to pick the ball up inside the key and go into the rim with the ball never hitting the ground.
Yeah. I hear you.
Right?
Yeah.
I actually, like, the more women's basketball that I've watched, and I prefer college basketball instead, but the more women's basketball that I've watched, like, you want to talk about a pure game? Watch women's basketball. Like, if I had a choice to spend money to go see a basketball game, I'm going to go watch the women. I would go watch a WNBA game. That's just me. But that's because I can't watch. It's too much about highlight reels. I don't know. I just can't. My students have asked me. I'm like, I can't. No. And I exaggerate, and I says they're picking the ball up at the 3-point line and walking into the paint and making a layup without the ball hitting the floor.
I get what you're saying, and I don't necessarily disagree with that take. There's been a lot of videos showing just how bad it's gotten as far as even with double dribbles and stuff like that. Like
picking the ball up like this and dribbling it like that.
It's I get what you're saying. I'm just saying, but look, let's be honest, right? When you're talking about overall, like who are the better players? Could there be any player in the WNBA that could beat an NBA player one-on-one, right? And I think
you can't. That goes into a whole other thing about why men shouldn't be in women's sports and why women shouldn't be in men's sports. Right?
I hear you, but that's what I'm talking about as far as like the overall talent and better and that type of that's NBA. So the majority of people, you're an outlier. That's what I'm saying. You're an outlier.
I am. And there was a lady that I went to high school with. She was either a year ahead of me or 2 years ahead of me. Shimmy Gray. I know she went on to play college basketball. She coached college basketball. But I know she would beat me one-on-one. She would beat me one-on-one when I was good.
Well, you were never that good.
I was always good.
No, you're never that good. Look, that's the thing, right? Like, look now. Hold on. This is my trump card.
Okay.
Right? This. So we know United States women's soccer have won more accolades, whether it's medals, titles, etc., than men, right?
Yep.
Like they absolutely like, and the whole time they're like, "Hey, we are winning all this, we're just as good as everybody else."
Yep.
We saw them play against like over the hill, like recreation soccer players, and they got absolutely skunked. They got skunked, right?
Okay.
You also seen women's soccer play against like 15 and 16-year-olds get skunked. So it's just, I know you said that that's a whole different topic as far as like men versus women, that kind of thing. But again, it's just my point that even though you're watching, like when you're watching women versus women, it's an even playing field, but still, that's not watching the best in the world playing. That's what I'm saying, right?
Okay.
No matter what happens, the best in the world are going to be in the NBA. The best in the world are not in the WNBA. Now you can say the best women in the world are in the WNBA, but that's not the best basketball players in whole as in the WNBA, right?
That's fine. Yes. I'm not saying it. I just, to me, watching them play just it's pure basketball, I guess, is what I guess in the end, when you see the game, if you ever just broke down the game and watched it, to me, it's a pure basketball game, right? There's passing, they're playing offense, they're playing defense, they're getting back, I don't know. It's just different to watch. And I didn't notice that, but it's just been more as I've been watching more and more women's basketball that I've noticed that.
Right.
So, but I know that started out as like Caitlin Clark thing. We got into women's sports. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
we both have daughters. I think it's awesome that I would, my oldest daughter went to college on a track scholarship, and she was a shot put and discus, right? My daughter is 5'6", and she's 100 and nothing, and she was throwing the shot put at the next level. Obviously, did not compete very well, right? She wasn't built to throw the shot put, but she did it well enough to get into college, right? She threw discus, she threw hammer. Like those were more technique driven. And she was able to use and learn technique and be very successful at that. Right? She went to a NAIA school, and she is still, I think, in the top 5 or top 10 on the school's leaderboard. And, she hasn't done it in, 4 years. So I just, having girls in sports and watching what they do and some of the things that they do, having daughters has increased my awareness of women athletes. I guess I'll say that.
I have a lot of respect for women athletes. Don't get me wrong, right?
No, you do. I know. And I wasn't trying to say that you didn't, because you absolutely do, because we talk about them all the time.
All the time. And I watch girls basketball all the time, right? Yes. Like, it's not as if I don't appreciate it or the sport or the players. I'm just saying when you're talking about, as far as why isn't as popular as what it, could potentially be, I think that's the reason. People are limited in their recreation time, and they want to watch the best in the world, not just the best women, right? They want to watch. It doesn't matter who. Now, if the women were the best in the world, I don't think people would care. I think they'd watch that.
Right.
But,
Sure.
you know, when you're talking about just like, I mean, some people, you know, like college football, some people love college football over NFL, right?
Yeah.
Some people love that. And some people like you prefer, you know, a certain sport like women's basketball or men's basketball for the reasons that you laid out, which is perfectly fine. People watch what they want to watch, but
that's right.
just as a whole, people want to watch the best of the best.
No, that's fine.
And there's been a lot of talk recently too about the NBA All-Star Game. You know, like because the NBA All-Star Game is nothing but just it's crap. Like it's not even worth watching.
Not just the NBA All-Star Game, all All-Star games.
I was also going to say the NFL, but the
yes, and I would say other than in baseball,
yeah,
because at least there the winner gets home field advantage in the home series or World Series, right? Like they're playing for something, right?
Right.
So it's not like they're just going out there. Okay, let's see how many runs we can score. You know, like in basketball, let's have a 200-point basketball game.
Well, and you know, we watched a lot of videos that showing the difference between the All-Star Game today and the All-Star Game of the past. And the All-Star Game of the past, like they did play. That was fun to watch because you actually got to see the best of the best play against each other.
Exactly.
And same, well, the NFL Pro Bowl used to be that way too. Like they actually played. Those actually hits and stuff like that.
Right. Well, the Pro Bowl game was after the World Super Bowl, so that even the players who made the Pro Bowl in the Super Bowl got to play in the Pro Bowl.
I don't remember that way back in the day, but
it was a week after the Super Bowl in Hawaii.
But at any rate, though, like those type of games are just crap now. Like they're not fun to watch. Like I didn't watch the NBA All-Star Game. I didn't watch the NFL Pro Bowl.
Yep.
I have no reason to. They're stupid. No. And they're a waste of my time is how I look at it. And but back in the day, like it was fun watching, you know, Kobe versus Jordan. You know, like that was great. You know, I love that. But anyways, you know, like so I get where you're coming from in terms of your opinion on the whole subject. It's just I think that's just where we're at right now is just because people just, you know, they want to watch the best of the best, and right now that's not the WNBA.
Yep.
But I do enjoy watching the college basketball, and I found myself enjoying it more since I've been focusing a lot more on Caitlin Clark.
Correct.
You know, because obviously she's a storyline, and so you kind of want to keep up and see how she's doing within her career. You know, breaking records, etc. So, but yeah, I found myself enjoying it more the more I watched.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, all right, everybody, we appreciate your time. You know, we're still under 50 minutes, so we're doing a pretty good job today.
Kinda. But at any rate, let us know what you want us to. Again, we said this the previous episode on baseball. If there's a certain position, player, whatever, on the Tigers or even outside the Tigers, let us know who you'd like us to talk about specifically. We'll go through and take a look and let you know our opinion. So, anyways, we appreciate you listening, and we'll talk to you next time.
Yep. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for listening to No Pads Sports Talk. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, help spread the word by leaving a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on social media at No Pads Sports Talk.